Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Murder Party. So this was not a first time watch for me. I have seen this movie before. Uh, I just found out about this movie randomly. Like about 4 years ago, I was just at a Dollar Tree, and you know, if I'm at a Dollar Tree, I might pick up, a little drink action, and I might just check out the movie section because, I mean, I feel like maybe people don't know this, but like Dollar Tree always has uh, DVDs and Blu-rays, and it's very hit or miss. They get a lot of just trash movies, but if you look for like 5 or 10 minutes, if you like sift through all the BS, you can always find like a pretty good little hidden gem. You'll find something legit. And yeah, I was just at Dollar Tree like I said, like 4 years ago or something. Found this movie. The cover kind of caught my interest, and I watched it, and I really liked it. And upon rewatch, I still really like this movie. You know, I think the story is really fresh. Uh, this movie has a lot of good horror elements, but it's also fun. There's a lot of comedy as well, and it's a good, seamless blend of horror and comedy. Uh, I think the performances are good. It's just it's just an entertaining movie. It's a fun movie. Yeah, so I'm a big big fan of this movie. But moving on, I'm just gonna give you all a little plot summary. So the movie starts out. You got this beautiful opening sequence. You have shots of various Halloween decorations and Halloween themed things. So there'll be shots of people's decorations in front of their house. Shots of jack-o'-lanterns. There's little shots of like Halloween cupcakes and cookies at a bakery, and it's interesting because I mean the opening sequence is cool just visually because this movie takes place on Halloween, and it really gives you that Halloween feel right off the bat. But the opening sequence is also cool because if you watch the behind the scenes little documentary on this movie, they shot that opening sequence before they even had a script. Before they had anything. This whole movie, it was kind of like a DIY thing. Not totally DIY. It's not like a backyard made at home movie. It does have you know somewhat of a budget, but it's just this movie was made by a group of friends. They grew up making films together. They all went to different film schools. They got together, made this. Of course, there was other people involved as well, but a lot of the people involved were friends growing up, and they made movies together. But they made the opening sequence, and then they're like, okay, let's make this film because they had a short film that they were trying to use kind of as leverage to get money for a feature, and they weren't really getting money for a feature, so they raised the funds themselves, and that's how the opening came about. They're like, let's just start shooting, let's just make it happen ourselves, let's get it. So the story behind this movie is really fun. It's really it's just some resourceful people that just doing it themselves, and I think the end product is really good. But I'm going off on a tangent here. I was supposed to give you all the plot summary. So yeah, you got this opening sequence. The movie set on beautiful, beautiful opening sequence. I know I've said that, but gotta give it props. So you got this opening sequence. It's Halloween, okay? There's this gentleman. He's like a parking ticket enforcer or something like that, and he's just kind of he's just an everyday average guy, just a quiet guy. He's very to himself. He just has his little apartment. He lives with his cat. he's renting some videos. He's just gonna, he's just gonna stay in for Halloween. He's gonna watch some scary movies, eat some candy corn, and while he's walking down the street, he steps on this letter, and it's an invite to a murder party. And of course, he thinks, it's just a Halloween party. It's not gonna be a real murder party. So, he gets back home. He makes a little pumpkin bread with some raisins in it, and makes a makeshift night costume, which is really cool. He makes this night costume out of cardboard. It's super awesome. But anyways, he goes to this party, and spoiler alert, it is really a murder party. And yeah, the all the people at the party, it's this group of artists. They're kind of you could call them like an art collective, and they tie the main character up, and their whole purpose for having this murder party is because they want to actually kill a person and turn that into some sort of piece of art, and they think they're going to get famous. And another part of their motive for, killing this guy and making a piece of art out of it is there's like the leader of this art collective. He is promising them that if they do this project, that he can get them funding. He can get them a grant for like $300,000 or $500,000, which would fund more art projects for them. So, and as the movie goes along, these individuals are trying to find a way to kill the main character, and they're kind of arguing like what medium they're going to use. Like, is it going to be a photo thing? Is it going to be a video thing? Whatever. So they're trying to figure out how they're going to kill the main guy, how they're like what kind of project they're going to do. And while all this is happening, they start kind of picking each other off and killing each other. Like the art collective keeps they keep accidentally killing their members or intentionally killing their members, and that's the basic premise of the movie. So with all that being said, I think the concept of this movie is super fresh. I mean, I don't know of another movie where the premise is you got these crazy artists trying to kill someone as a work of art. I just think that's a super fresh concept, and it's so funny because there's so much like satire around the art scene in this movie. All the artist characters, they're so over the top, and they're so pretentious and full of themselves, and they're just so like into their art. They're because I'm not hating, some artists, whatever the medium is, if you're a visual artist, if you do painting, if you do music, whatever, like there's a lot of super cool down to earth artists. But at the same time, there are those artists that are just completely full of themselves, completely delusional. They think they're so important, when it's like, I mean, you paint well, but like, I mean, just get over yourself. Maybe like take a chill pill. So all the satire around the art scene is really fun. Like I said, the concept is super unique. I already mentioned this. There's a great mix of horror and comedy. And then something else that I want to note is the makeup effects in this are really good. And when I was watching the behind the scenes documentary, it was saying, they were supposed to have more time for the makeup scenes, but and that there was supposed to be probably more elaborate, makeup effects and makeup gags or whatever the heck that they were trying to do, but due to probably budget and time, they had to do all the like big makeup effects in the movie in half a day, and I was like, what? Like, cause the two standout scenes in terms of, well, they're not necessarily scenes, but just the two standout parts of the movie that involve like really good makeup are, there's this one guy that he burns his entire body accidentally, and he's wearing this kind of, it's like a demonic wolf mask, and it gets fused to his face, so he looks like this like burnt up wolf man for the rest of the movie, and the makeup on him is absolutely outstanding. And then this is kind of getting into spoiler territory here, so just warning you all. But there's this one gentleman. He's dressed as a baseball fury from the Warriors. He eventually just goes crazy towards the end of the movie. He just starts killing fools left and right. But basically his death, he gets a chainsaw to the head. You see everything. It's for the most part practical. I think they did like a little CGI in the saw blade, but you don't even notice. Like they just mentioned that in the making of video. But yeah, you can't really talk like you gotta use a lot of times. Even stuff that looks completely practical, like nowadays they do a little bit of CGI. You couldn't notice it. The chainsaw through the head kill, it was so good. That whole scene where so the main character and the baseball fury guy, they're in this like art exhibition. It's this room with all these people. They're all painted up and wearing weird outfits and just like posted up in the room, just like kind of standing there, and everyone gets killed in the room, and there's just blood splattered everywhere. That's an awesome scene. It's just like visually really cool, and it's funny because like after the fact, people just think it's just an art exhibit. So I really liked all the makeup in this movie. It was, they totally worked with what they had. They had, limited shooting time, limited budget, but they totally killed it. There was some great makeup effects in this movie. So the next thing that I kind of want to build on is talking about the behind the scenes stuff, but I feel like I did talk a lot about that. Yeah, so I pretty much talked about all the behind the scenes stuff that I wanted to talk about, so I'm just going to kind of talk about the director. So the director is Jeremy Saulnier. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably butchering that. My apologies. But before watching this movie, I had never heard of him. But after I initially watched it, I was watching all the behind the scenes stuff, watching interviews with him, and I mean, this guy, you can tell he just has such a passion for filmmaking. He's just, they were even talking about in the making of video, like how, man, when he's on set, he doesn't eat, he doesn't drink, he doesn't go to the bathroom. He's just hyper focused, and he's so detail oriented. He's just running the ship. He like wore a lot of hats in terms of like the production of this movie. He wrote it, he directed it, and then he also did the cinematography, because I was watching the opening credits, and it was like director of photography Jeremy Saulnier, and I was like, what? He did the cinematography as well? Like, I mean, this fool did. How did he have time to sleep during the production of this movie? But yeah, I watched a lot of interviews with this guy, and this is gonna sound bad. People might hate on me for this, but this is to this day, this is the only movie of his that I've seen, but I have wanted to check out some of his other movies. So he's done quite a few movies, but two of the big ones that I've wanted to check out for years, and for some reason I just haven't checked out, are Blue Ruin and Green Room. They're not really horror movies. I looked into like the plot summaries of those back in the day, and I watched trailers, but I can't really recall right now what they're about like entirely. But those two movies, I definitely want to see eventually and review on the channel because I really like this movie, and I like the story of this movie. I like that, you know, most of the people involved were just making movies together. They were making like VHS movies back in the day, and you know, they stayed friends. They found the funding for this. They did everything themselves, and it's I like stories like that. Like you hear a lot of the time people breaking into the movie business like that. Like a great example is, you know, Kevin Smith with Clerks, where he just grabbed the camera, maxed out some credit cards, made a film by himself, and then it spawned this entire career, and he's still making movies. I don't really like a lot of Kevin Smith's newer stuff, but I like a ton of his movies. So I mean, he's always going to be the man in my opinion. But yeah, like it's so cool that so many of the individuals involved in this movie, just they took a risk, they put in a lot of work, they made this movie with like no help, and it launched their careers, and you know, now they have successful careers. They went on to do bigger and better things. So I always like stories like that, and it's cool. It's inspiring. Like if you're in film school or you're an aspiring filmmaker, it's like you watch this movie, you know, kind of learn the story of the production. You're like, man, I could do this. I mean, you got to put in a lot of work, but I mean, it's clearly possible. So I think anyone can do it. Anyone can make a movie, man. You know, just which is a beautiful thing. You know, I mean, especially nowadays, man. I got this camera here. Everyone's got a camera on their phone. Like, you can make a movie on an iPhone. Anyone can make a movie. So that's a beautiful thing, because it's a fun time just filming stuff, like messing around with your buddies, filming stuff, even if it's not good. You know, it's so fun. There's nothing like just making some DIY videos. You know, it's a beautiful, magical time. So you gotta love it. And I'm just gonna wrap things up here with just talking about a couple standout funny scenes that I liked. So this one girl, she pretty much gets killed by raisins, which was extremely funny. And she's like, wait, are these, because there's, you know, raisins in the pumpkin bread, and she's like, wait, are these not organic? Like, it was just kind of funny. It kind of went along with the whole artist thing where they're like, oh, I can only eat organic, and oh, what does that have, you know, is that processed? I can't have preservatives, blah blah blah. I mean, some people maybe they have to have organic stuff, but I just thought it was funny. It kind of went along with you know, the character of this, you know, pretentious artist, like, oh my god, that's not organic, what, like I can't eat that. And then she eats the non-organic raisins and just like falls on this blunt object, dies like right away. So that was really funny. And then there's this one gentleman, he's dressed up as a vampire, but he eventually has to take his vampire outfit off, because like the leader of the art collective, he's dressed up as a vampire. He's like, we can't both be a vampire. Take off your vampire stuff now. And he's just like, what? But anyways, he's a photographer, and he eventually gets shot in the head, and initially he doesn't even really notice that he got shot in the head. He's just mad that he, like, his photos got messed up, or he was interrupted while he was shooting his photos, and he just, like, he just, all he cared about was getting the shot, you know, getting the photo, and he was totally oblivious to the fact that he just got shot in the head. So I thought that was pretty darn funny, pretty good stuff right there. And then the last thing I wrote for, you know, stuff that I thought was funny. I mean, there was countless funny moments, but I don't want this video to be like 10 hours long. So I just thought it was funny that the one guy who was all burnt up, he was just running around with like a corded chainsaw, and he would have to try to figure out, like, like where's an outlet? Where can I plug in this corded chainsaw? That was just a funny element. A corded electric chainsaw is your weapon of choice. And man, this thing had the longest cord. Like this fool was walking miles. He was on the rooftop walking miles with this chainsaw. It was like a never-ending cord. It was just an extremely funny little thing. Like it just killing fools with a corded chainsaw with like the biggest extension cord imaginable, and just trying to figure out how to plug it in. Like while you're pursuing this guy, it's like, oh wait, I gotta plug in my chainsaw real quick. Hold up, I know I'm supposed to be pursuing this guy and murdering him, but wait, I gotta plug in my chainsaw. So that was extremely fun. That was super funny. There was like I said, there were so many other funny moments in this movie, but those are the ones that came to the top of my head right away. So yeah, but I pretty much got to the end of my notes. So, I'm gonna try to wrap things up here pretty soon. But before I go, I'm gonna give you all, a little recommendation. So, I mean, you all probably already know from hearing my thoughts on this movie. Of course, I would recommend this. I think this is a fantastic movie, super fresh, super unique, super funny, great makeup, and it's centered on Halloween. It really has that Halloween feel. This is a great movie to watch in October. So, yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, go out and watch it. And that's all I gotta say about Murder Party. So, I'm gonna head out here in a sec. But I just want to thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.